Hi, Sandites. Welcome to, the November episode of District Dialogue. I'm really excited about today's topic, and that is the P-EBT cards that you guys have been getting in the mail. So we were hoping to do a dialogue today just to give you some information and share what we know about that. And with me today, I have Ms. Sherry Pearson. She's our Child Nutrition Director. On another episode, Sherry, we're going to talk about how to treat cast iron skillets. We just had a really great conversation about that. I'm pretty sure that's a topic that everyone needs to know about. But today really is about the P-EBT. And I know we've been getting a lot of questions. Your department has been getting a lot of questions about what they are. Are they eligible to spend the funds that are on the card? And so we're just going to talk about that for a little while. First of all, there is a handout that we're going to post with dialogue of frequently asked questions for families regarding the cards. And then we're going to hopefully enlighten you with a little bit about what we know about it. So basically, the PEBT stands for Pandemic Electronic Benefits Transfer. It comes from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the same department federally that also is in charge of free and reduced lunch program.
Correct.
With all of the nutrition requirements that you have to adhere to. But interestingly, this year, I know many of you have gotten in the mail what looks like, I think, a credit card in a kind of envelope that might not be super identifiable. And I know people have thrown those away at some point in time because they didn't really know what they were. So I want to talk, Sherry, just a little bit about how much we know about it, because it's not something that is sponsored by the school or literally by the State Department of Ed. So what is happening is it's governed through the Department of Human Services, and they are using the State Department of Ed data system in order to identify students that would qualify for a receipt of that card that has some cash on it.
Correct.
Frankly. So you might do you mind talking a little bit about who qualifies for a PEBT card, at least in our knowledge base?
For Sand Springs students, if you qualified for free and reduced last school year, that would be for the 2021 school year, then that would have qualified you for the current PEBT cards that have been going out. Now, there's been a lot of confusion with those cards because apparently what we're being told from the State Department is there was a glitch, and there were many families that also received them that did not qualify. So if you know for certain that you qualified for the free reduced meal program last school year, even though we fed kids free, which was a privilege through USDA, but we still ask you to fill out the meal application, whether or not. But if you know you qualified, then that is going to qualify you for the PEBT card.
So there's a little bit of confusion because I know in the FAQs it talks about whether schools are at CEP school.
Correct.
And so that led a little bit a little bit of confusion, I think, because there was a link in the original FAQs, and I believe there is one this time as well, that defines a list of schools that qualify CEP. And Sand Springs is not a CEP school. So,
correct.
Sherry, if you don't mind talking about that, how a school would qualify, maybe why we don't, and why really it is important to get the free and reduced lunch forms filled out.
We don't qualify for a CEP school because our free and reduced numbers are not high enough to be able to get those percentages in to qualify for that particular program.
Correct. So while we do serve a lot of families that are in need of free and reduced lunches, the criteria is, our district is such that we don't have enough people that qualify to make us eligible, is what you're saying. Perfect. Thank you for that clarification.
But what we do want to do is encourage you to fill out a meal application every year so that even though we feed the kids free, and we're hoping that USDA is going to allow us to do that again next year, but if you qualify for free and reduced, then that is going to also help our school district. It helps mom and dad with the groceries, of course, but it's also going to help the district with our federal funding. And so whether or not you really feel like you qualify, you're kind of wondering, go ahead and fill out a meal application. Here's a copy, and it is available through each of your schools. We also have it online on the Sandite website. If you go to the Sandite website, the first pop-up, look towards the bottom, and there's an online meal application. Fill it out. It's really simple. Once you've filled it all out and have completed it, you'll get a confirmation number, which is not something that we need, but it will at least tell you that you've completed it. And once it's done, it goes directly to my office. There are also applications on the website under the documents that you can either print one out or it's fillable online, print it out and send it in. Please remember, though, that we have to have an original copy or the online. We can't take a fax or an email copy.
Okay.
So, and then that will help not only the families, but it will help our district. We are hoping that USDA is going to allow us to feed kids free again next year, but that's still yet to be heard. We won't know until the spring, probably.
Okay, so that's great information. We would encourage you to go ahead and get those applications filled out. But let's dig a little deeper into the cards, the the PEBT cards. That was twofold. So you were eligible to receive that if, number one, you qualified for a free and reduced lunch in the 2020-21 school year.
Correct.
But the second part of that formula is if learning was interrupted due to a COVID absence, that we would have kept data for last school year, and almost every single person in the district, every student would have been affected by an absence due to COVID. If there was a period of time that we went to distance learning for a period of time, that likely would have qualified a student for eligibility for this card. Again, alongside, you were qualified for free and reduced lunches.
Correct.
And you had a learning disruption because of COVID last year. So twofold, really. And as I'm reading the FAQs for families, the benefit would have been $6.82 per day based on the number of days your learning was disrupted. So that would explain the variation in the amounts on cards. We do have a couple of questions. One says, are we able to use the PEBT funds? If my daughter's name is spelled wrong, does the school need to fix that prior to using the funds? And I would say if you have a PEBT card and you know for certain that your daughter qualified free and reduced, then there would be really no reason to fix the spelling. What we are being told is, because there was a glitch in the data, we have some folks that received the cards that shouldn't have. So if you know for sure that your child did not qualify for free and reduced lunches last year, even though that there was a learning disruption, you should destroy the card and not spend the funds. I am being told that there will be a window for districts to potentially correct their data if there's a problem with our data. I don't have a lot of information on that as of yet, but if we are able to correct any data from the last school year, which is really unusual, that's something we would notify our public about so that you know that. The second question, my daughter received a PEBT card but has never qualified for free and reduced lunch. Is the card legit? Is she able to actually use it? If so, does it have to be used in the state of Oklahoma? She is currently attending college in Arkansas. Thank you. I don't know about having to use it in Oklahoma, but I do know that if your daughter did not qualify for free and reduced last year, then she would not be eligible to use the funds on the card. So the other thing I would like to talk about, Ms. Pearson, if you don't mind, is just the importance of the free and reduced lunch form. We can certainly put the link out publicly on our social media pages, and I know it's probably linked to the child nutrition page. As Ms. Pearson said, that form in hard copy format is available at your child's school, and so we need you to get those filled out because it does help us with federal funding for sure. But the other thing that we are anticipating is that the PEBT program will continue next school year. So I want to say that again. They are projecting that the PEBT program will continue for the next school year based on the 2021-22 eligibility for free and reduced lunches. So even though we're able to provide free and reduced or free lunches for everyone in the district this year right now, if you think or even have an inkling that you could qualify, go ahead and get the form filled out, because that would be the mechanism that you would be able to qualify for the PEBT funds next year.
Correct.
And so we're trying to really get rid of any confusion that you might have, and also highlight the importance of getting that form filled out.
Correct.
What am I forgetting? I know I'm probably forgetting
One
something.
thing I do want to add is if you received a PEBT card, and keep in mind when those are going out, they're looking like junk mail.
Right.
So really check your mail, and it has the student's name on it. My understanding, the ones I've seen, they're similar to maybe a SNAP card. They have a little lunch bag on them that says lunch. So there's been a lot of people wondering if they needed to bring it to lunch. We're free. They don't. It's to be spent at the grocery store, places where you could use a SNAP card. But also, there's been a lot of parents concerned because maybe they didn't qualify and their child got one. Well, has my child's identity been stolen or whatever? That's not the case. The cards that are going out that because of the glitch were the ones that you might have received if you did not qualify for the program. So those are the ones that we are encouraging, the State Department is encouraging you to destroy. But the others, you need to remember too, by what we're hearing and seeing, there's going to be more money issued on that card possibly later on. Okay. So don't destroy the card. If you know that you're supposed to be getting those funds, don't destroy the card. Check it on occasion, because what I'm reading and hearing is there could be as many as possibly 10 more times that money is issued on that particular card.
I didn't know that. That's good to know. The other thing I would say, and maybe it's an obvious one, but especially if your child was virtual last year for any degree of time, or maybe full-time virtual last year, meaning you attended the Sand Springs Virtual Academy, you definitely would qualify if you qualified for free and reduced. So that's important to know. Questions, you could email. That's maybe the easiest way to get some answers. Definitely we'll be posting the FAQs alongside the dialogue tonight that should help answer some questions. And then just one more time, I would highly encourage going ahead and taking advantage of at least filling out the form, even if you think that maybe you don't qualify. You might be surprised. Specifically, if you have more children in your household, you might be surprised at the level of income you could make and still qualify for services. So,
and remember also that you can fill out a meal application anytime during the school year.
Right.
It doesn't have to be just at the beginning of the school year.
Right.
If at any time you know that your status changes, household number changes, income changes in any way, feel free to either call my office at 918-246-1430, and if you have filled out a previous application, we can help you and get those changed for you, or just go ahead and fill out a new one online. And we're always here and ready to help you if you need to make any of those changes. But you can do it up through even the end of school.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Pearson, you're amazing. By the way, I just publicly need to say thank you for the work in your department over the last crazy couple of years. It's been challenging. It's also been very heartwarming to see your staff work the kind of crazy hours that they do to make sure kids are fed. So
thank you.
It's amazing. I appreciate that.
So we appreciate it. I'm very blessed to work with some amazing people.
You are.
So thank you.
Give them that number one more time.
918-246-1430 is the child nutrition number. Whatever we can do to help, we'll be glad to try.
Perfect. Thank you. The second portion of tonight's dialogue is about our new transfer bill. With me tonight is Carrie Slyhuber. She's our Director of Special Education, but also administrates our Enrollment Center, which is where the transfer policy will be carried out, really, in practicality. Yes. So in the 2021 legislative season, the legislature passed Senate Bill 783. And basically, we have really just one kind of transfer. We went from emergency and open to a transfer. And so the Board of Education in December will be passing the policy that will define our capacity, and Carrie's going to talk about that in just a little bit. But basically, you'll see something kind of new hit in January regarding how we handle district transfer. So I'm going to turn it over to Carrie to talk through that.
Sure. So the main change that was made is that we have been asked to set a capacity for each grade level at each school site. And so if you have a student who is in kindergarten and you're trying to move into a certain elementary school, we're looking at that number that we have set to see if we have the ability to serve your student. And so capacity is going to be a number, it's going to be something maybe you haven't ever heard before, but you're going to start seeing that a lot in terms of the transfer policy. So we accept those transfers based on what the capacity looks like for that specific grade level.
And you may want to insert just a little bit, and maybe I don't want to get ahead of you, but that capacity is set by the Board of Education through recommendation from our admin team. And so that capacity number must be reviewed quarterly by the board. I know you're going to talk about how it's going to be updated on our district website, but by law we have to report that quarterly. Of course, that's subject to change after we accept transfers and get new students in.
Sure, and one of the reasons that would change is because we're always going to first serve our resident students. So if a housing addition went up in, say, Angus's neighborhood, that might change what capacity for transfers looks like, because we have to make sure that we're serving our students who actually live here.
Correct.
Transfers can still be denied. And so a couple of reasons that we can deny a transfer, obviously capacity would be the biggest one, because we just don't have space for a student that doesn't live in our district. But also we're going to be looking at discipline and attendance records from their sending school. So those are things to keep in mind if you're considering applying for a transfer.
Correct.
Like Ms. Durkee said, we're going to update that at least quarterly on the website. So you will actually be able to go to the district website and look at each elementary site by grade level and how many spaces are going to be available at each of those sites.
And secondary by grade.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. One thing that did not change in the new policy or in the new state law is special education transfer capacity. And so since I wear both hats as the Enrollment Center Director and the SPED Director, those really go through me, because I have to make sure that we can accommodate a student based on the caseload size of the special education teachers. So that special ed piece is still going to be separate from the general transfer piece.
I mean, our goal is to support our special ed kids in a way that makes sense and complies with the law, but also gives them the quality education. So we want to make sure that we can do that.
Right. Absolutely. As far as our procedures go, that transfer application for next school year, so we're already thinking about 2022, 2023, that is going to open up the first Monday of March of 2022. And so that is going to be something that is going to be available not only on the Enrollment Center webpage, but also at the actual Enrollment Center for a physical copy.
But if I'm a parent and I have a student that attends another district, but I want to transfer into Sand Springs starting the second semester, how do I do that?
So transferring in for this school year is always open. It is open today. It is open until school ends. But if you're talking about next school year, that's going to be what opens in March. And there will be, or there could be, a little bit of gap between when you apply and when we're able to let you know if you've been accepted or not. And that's all contingent on our current residents letting us know if they're going to be back next year or not. So we will do that in a very timely manner, but it's not going to be the first Tuesday in March. There's going to be a little bit of time there between your application.
In fact, it'll probably be summer.
Probably will be summer.
In July.
We're going to work really hard to make sure that our current families know that they can update starting that first week of March as well. And then as long as we're still trying to get information from them, we have to wait on those transfers.
So truly a shameless plug. If you're a current student
Yes.
at Sand Springs Public Schools, once that window opens for pre-registration or pre-enrollment, we are going to just push to try to get those current students in our system for the following year so that
Absolutely.
we know
Yes.
what our capacity
And that's
is.
really just about updating information, updating contacts, and we'll probably talk more about that in the spring semester.
Yes.
One really important thing to know is that if you are currently in Sand Springs schools as a transfer student, you will be grandfathered in next year. So some of you who may have gone here for several years, but you know that you've had to fill out an application every single year, you will not have to do that this year. We are going to grandfather all current transfers in. The only exception to that will be if you have come to Sand Springs and you've had some discipline issues that are significant and you've had attendance issues that are significant, we are going to be reviewing those.
Absolutely. Well, and the bottom line is when you transfer in, the only way to take full advantage of the education in Sand Springs Public Schools is to actually be present.
Right.
And in compliance and
Sure.
good behavior. So
Sure.
those are the reasons, probably few and far between, but honestly, that is one thing that we will review.
Right, absolutely. Other than that, I've just linked some Enrollment Center information so that people know where the current Enrollment Center is. We will be making a move, hopefully over Christmas break, and when that happens, we'll update that as well so that you have the new address. But the ladies at the Enrollment Center are always willing and always available to help. And you can call, you can email, or you can drop in.
And they're going to be open all summer.
Yes,
That's
that is a
little bit of
big thing. We are here all summer, special ed and enrollment. We are here all summer. And so we would love to get a head start on helping and assisting families that are coming in on a transfer or if they're moving in. That is a really great point. We want to make sure people know we are here all summer.
And I think it's really good today to talk about the location because if you have enrolled previously, you know that our Enrollment Center was located kind of behind Page Academy or the old Central Elementary. And so our goal, hopefully over Christmas, but definitely by that March window, is going to, we're going to move the old center to the new place, which is right on, I believe that's 4th Street.
14 West 4th will be the address.
Right, in the manual, I'm glad you did that. In the Manual Arts building on the first floor, alongside Child Nutrition. So truly it'll be a one-stop shop for enrollment, child nutrition, and then transportation, and Chromebook checkout, and all of that.
That's our goal, one-stop shopping for our families. So.
Anything to add?
I don't think so. I think that really gets it out there. But like I said, I've got the contact info here, and if anybody has a question, they can certainly call and we can clarify.
Fantastic. Well, I think that wraps up tonight. Sandage, you guys have a good evening.